Why focus on their weaknesses? Plutarch looked around at the eager faces of young scholars who believed greatness meant perfection. Another student, frustrated, stepped forward. "Teacher, shouldn't we study only their victories? Why waste time on their errors when we want to learn how to succeed?" Plutarch walked slowly to his writing desk, where a half-finished biography of Demosthenes lay open. Without a word, Plutarch picked up a scroll detailing Demosthenes' early failures as an orator. His students, expecting inspiration, gathered closer. "Look at this," he said quietly, pointing to a passage about the great orator's first disastrous speech. The crowd laughed him off the stage. The students stared at the text, confused by their master's focus on failure. Suddenly, and without warning, Plutarch tore a blank piece of papyrus and held it up to the light. His students gasped as he then crumpled it, smoothed it out, and held it up again, now marked with creases and character. "Tell me," Plutarch said, his voice carrying the wisdom of years studying human nature, "which piece of papyrus tells a more interesting story?" The students stared at the marked papyrus, beginning to understand. "The crumpled one," they replied. "But master, what does this have to do with greatness?" Plutarch smiled with that gentle wisdom that would influence centuries of readers. "Tell me," he said, "what teaches you more, the mountain that was never climbed, or the one that broke 1,000 climbers before someone finally reached the summit?" "The one that broke climbers," they answered, their eyes lighting up with understanding. Plutarch nodded with that profound insight that made him history's greatest biographer. "When you understand that perfection teaches us nothing because it's unreachable," he declared, "when you realize that mistakes are not the opposite of wisdom but the raw material from which wisdom is forged, then you discover that the greatest teachers are not those who never failed, but those who failed greatly and learned greatly." That day, Plutarch's students began studying failures as eagerly as successes. His parallel lives became the most influential biographical work in history, teaching through both triumphs and disasters. True wisdom comes not from avoiding mistakes, but from transforming them into stepping stones. When we embrace our failures as teachers rather than shame them as enemies, we discover that every error contains the seeds of future success.